Welcome to the Rig Doctor podcast, where I'm giving out remedies to soothe your ailing tone and fix your sick pedal boards. I'm your host, Mason Marangella, aka the Rig Doctor. I've been building rigs for over a decade for many of the industry's top pros, and now I'm giving away all my secrets to DIYers just like you. I'm giving away all of my tips, tricks, resources, and easy hacks that I've learned over the years so you can build a pedal board just like a pro. If you want to support this podcast, you can do it in a bunch of different ways. Easiest way is to write us a review on iTunes, or you could follow us on social media, places like Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. You can also support us financially by purchasing one of my products, Vertex Effects, from any of our authorized dealers all around the world. Or you could become a member of our Patreon. We have several Patreon memberships as low as $4.99 a month that give you exclusive access to private live streams, Q&As, exclusive deals and discounts on Vertex products, as well as early access to new product releases. Also, you can get personalized one-on-one phone and email conversations with me, the Rig Doctor, to coach you through your next rig build. This could be as in-depth as troubleshooting a problem on your pedal board in real time with me, or some emails advising you on next steps, on certain pieces of gear to buy, and good stuff just like that. I don't want money, though, to be the reason that you can't engage with the Patreon side. So if you don't have the means to do it at this particular time, that's no problem. We actually offer a free version of our standard account at no charge if means are an issue. That means if you just send us an email requesting a free account, we grant 100% of those accounts, no charge whatsoever. We just trust that once things have changed for you and you can afford the $4.99 a month, you let us know. But until then, your account remains free. I also want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Blue Microphones. Kevin Walt at Blue Mics is just the man. He gave us everything. We have Yeti mics, we have boom arms, we have pop filters, we have everything that a podcaster would need, and we supremely appreciate that. Thank you to Blue Microphones. In this episode, I'm speaking with Justin Derrico. Justin is one of the best players that I know. He just is one of the most incredible rock and roll guys that I've ever come into contact with. Just oozes tone out of him. He did some demos for us, and it was incredible. It was like we had so many high-quality picks to choose from when he was doing some demo videos for us. It was like there was no throwaway take. It was just a matter of being able to choose which one of those takes we like better. They were all so great. Justin is a super pro, plays on the Voice, plays with Pink, has been her sideman for almost a decade, and has a lot of experience too with a lot of other bands, including Robin Thicke, and also The Calling, which was a big pop band in the early 2000s. He just has so much experience and brings so much to the table, and he really just gives away all his secrets, talks about all of his rigs throughout the years, talks about some of his favorite Vertex pedals, and also some great sleeper pedals, including some stuff by Boss that I didn't expect, but I believe that Justin is making those things work and sound great, and I think that a lot of you could benefit from some of his advice on that, especially. He talks about his days at MI, and also how he only lasted about 6 months before he got picked up for a major tour, so really cool story there. Without any further delay, I bring you Justin Derrico. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, Justin. This has been really cool for me to be able to interview a lot of my guitar heroes and guys that I really appreciate and kind of love what they do. And I'm glad that we were able to get you to agree to do this with me. So thank you for your time.
Dude, thank you, man. It's awesome. Thanks for thinking of me, man. I saw the one you did with Michael Thompson, and it was awesome, dude. So this stuff's really cool.
Yeah, he really got into it about all the Celine Dion,
the Mutt Lange stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, he's got some stories. You know, every time I talk to him, he's got all these stories from way back when, and going overseas and getting paid with cash and stuff like that.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. having to come back with like a money vest. This is like before September 11th, so you could
a money vest. That's awesome.
Yeah,
oh, dude, that's killer.
Just wear it on your person. Yeah. So maybe you'll have a money vest story.
Yeah,
if not now, maybe in the.
I don't know. It doesn't look like we're gonna be traveling anytime soon, huh?
Yeah. It looks that way, doesn't it? Well, the thing that I kind of want to to kind of give you a scope of the conversation topics, I really want to talk about sort of your evolution, not only as a player but also sort of the gear from sort of Justin Derrico V1 to where you are now, kind of how your tastes have evolved and what stayed the same. I want to talk about kind of some of the pivotal moments in your career and kind of what you saw as sort of being the areas where it really was sort of a defining moment that allowed you to sort of catapult yourself into new and better gigs, and then maybe also we could talk some about what do you think the future is going to look like for sidemen and musicians like you, and what do you think maybe some of the pivots and alternatives could be for people to explore?
Sure.
As things sort of take some time to get back to normal, and we're filling arenas again with tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, that'll be nice once we get back to that point.
Yeah. Well, I noticed, some of the guys that work for me were over at, the rehearsal space that you've been to, and they said that guys were just getting ready, loading on all this streaming stuff for the full size stages, so that bands were going to be coming in there and doing some big streams. I guess like Nine Inch Nails stuff was out there, and so I guess some of these bands are trying to figure out ways where they can use the rehearsal facilities, the arena size stages minus the audience, and figure out ways to do their whole shows,
it seems
pyrotechnics.
Like that's kind of, I've heard of some people like that. I've heard of people doing that and trying to do that. And I guess the weird thing is like, how do you, how do they monetize it? You know what I mean? So how do they, you do a concert and they sell tickets and they sell merch and this and that. It's like, I guess, do people buy a virtual ticket and tap into the room to watch it, or is it just streaming? Is it free? Is it like everything is with Apple Music and Spotify and all that sort of thing? So it's kind of a weird. It's such a strange time, it's already a strange enough time with all the streaming stuff and how all that sort of stuff, content works, and for musicians to make money and artists and stuff like that, and because they don't pay a lot of royalties with the streaming stuff, and so that's already confusing enough to sort of figure out, and then now you have the one thing that people were still able to make some serious money off of with the touring and stuff is at a hold, in a holding pattern. So it's such a weird time, man. I don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah. Well, I wonder whether, I wonder too what it's going to look like. I guess that even if you wouldn't be doing a stream, like let's say for example, you said to all of the ticket purchasers of your various shows in different parts of the country, would you put on a different show for Oklahoma City, for St. Louis, for Chicago? Would these be like all different, or
because if they show up every day and do it like a tour? Just change the set list every day.
Right, I don't know. I mean, certainly there's a huge amount of overhead in playing at an arena. Like I think just to turn the lights on at Madison Square Garden, it's somewhere in the $100,000s.
Well, Madison Square Garden's kind of a different animal altogether, just because of the unions in New York are so like strict, and so I think, but yeah, it is expensive. It's expensive to tour, but I think when the tour is really successful, I mean, it's the cost, you know, of doing the tour. It's probably taken care of, you know, depending on how big the tour is, within the first week or month of the tour, and then the rest is all, you know. So if you're out for a year and a half and it's just pure profit from then on, I mean, it's
right.
it's pretty lucrative. For certain artists, but yeah, it's scary, man, because, you know, the artist got to make money, so we can make money too, you know. So it's like it's you know, it's scary out there, you know. And it's not just our industry; every industry right now it's a mess because of the Corona thing. It's just such a
How many artists, or have you heard of guitar players now? Because in the old days, some of these guys would be on retainers. You know, you if you were a sideman, you get paid whether you were on the road or not. You know, so if Billy Joel decided to take a year off, you know, his guitar player was still getting paid. Is that no longer like a thing anymore? Or is it very rare?
It's pretty rare. I mean, you know, like I can you know. It'll happen when, say, you're in between legs of a tour, you know, and it's like you got a month off, or maybe 2 months off, or maybe 5 months off, but you're gonna go back out. Then, you know, that makes sense. But if you're gonna be off for the next year, 2 years, whatever it is, then I don't really see that happening. Although I know a lot of the you know, Nashville acts, you know, that they do it that way, and I guess it's more common, I think, in Nashville than it is on our side of the world. Or country, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's not completely unheard of. But yeah, I think it's a lot. I think it's definitely more rare these days because the revenue for the artists isn't quite like it was in back in the 80s. You know, like they were just crushing it with, you know, record sales, touring, merch. I mean, like, you know, it was just, the money was crazy, you know. And now with the streaming stuff, you take a big piece of the pie out, you know, so they don't have, you know, the money to really do that so much anymore.
Do you think that the streaming stuff is going to have to evolve in terms of how it includes musicians in that? Because it seems like the record labels are still making quite a bit of money, but they're in cahoots with Spotify and stuff like that. So, you know,
yeah, I mean, I think they're doing better than they ever have since the streaming stuff. Because when the iTunes store and the downloading stuff came out, they were kind of behind the ball. And then when the streaming stuff came out, I think they caught on, and they've you know, they've gotten back to, you know, I think they're doing better than they have in years in the past. But, you know, I don't really know, man. That stuff, it's such a foggy gray area, and I'm no expert with how all that stuff really works. But
yeah,
you know, it is kind of. Something's definitely going to have to change, and maybe is it our thinking that has to change? You know, the way we see it. You know, maybe now it's more of a numbers game. You know, it's like I need to have 10 kajillion streams to make $500. Right. It's like,
right.
You know, I don't know. I don't you know, but so I need to put more content out there to in order to make ends meet. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's there's parts of it that are great. It's nice to be able to just flick on Spotify and go, I want to listen to, you know, Hank Williams, or I want to listen to, you know, Bill Withers, or whatever that you know, and all their records will come up and all their stuff, and it's just right at your fingertips. It's awesome. The shitty part about it is you know, the royalty thing, and you know, but you know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really see. I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I think it's really tricky, you know. But I think also, you know, I think now that more, you know, there's a lot of consumers of music that have never went to a.
They've never paid for music, so it's
they've never been to a Sam Goody, you know, or whatever, and you know, had to put on the headphones and listen to the CD to see if, there was enough songs that you liked on there that was worth you buying it,
Isn't that crazy? I mean,
yeah.
It's like...
do you ever wait in line for a CD?
I don't think it, like, we will have to evolve. I think more so than, it's already happened. It's the, the wheels are in motion, and until the next, media change of whatever that is, how to get music out there is, I think this is it for now,
Yeah.
But it's all good. I mean, look, I can't complain. I've been doing really well with Pink and the voice and stuff like that. It's just been, especially through this Corona thing, we just did this last season of the voice remotely. So I was in my studio at home, and
right where you're sitting now.
What's that?
Right where you're sitting now.
Right where I'm sitting. Yeah, and we did the whole thing. I mean, I was in here 12, 14 hours a day just busting out songs, and
man,
it was crazy because we had to do more songs than we needed to do because we didn't know who was going home. So we had to prepare as if everybody was getting through, and it was kind of a crazy learning curve because, like, we weren't in a room together. Normally the band gets in a room together and sorry, somebody's calling me. Normally our band gets in a room together and we're hashing things out. Dave, the other guitar player, he'll play something, I'll react to it, or vice versa, or Paul or whoever. We could just sort of vibe off each other to come up with these flips. And in this instance, it was kind of the first week or so we were really figuring it out. By the second week, we kind of had a bit of a plan, and it was like, okay, let's, instead of just cutting to the click or the cut, the track, the original track, let's get keys and drums at least, so we know, because there could be some questionable chord changes or how people are interpreting things and things like that. So we'd let Paul sort of lay down at least the, we know these are the right chords and the right rhythms, and the drums were there, so we had a groove to cut to, and then we would cut to that. And as I would go through, I would send my parts to the other guitar player, just so he can have an idea, and he would vice versa do the same, just so we could kind of, so we're not playing the same exact thing, so we're staying out of each other's way and stuff. And it was funny because a lot of times I would send him stuff, or he'd send me stuff, or maybe we'd already be done with our parts, and we'd just put them together, and they just kind of magically worked, which is great, I love playing. I don't know if you know Dave Barry, but he's an amazing guitar player, and we have a really, really good time playing together. We gel really well, I think.
So on that stuff, how does it work with the contestants? Do they give them the same setup? I was asking Tim Stewart about this because he was sort of doing the same thing that you were doing, but with American Idol. And I asked him, he wasn't really sure how the contestants were recording themselves. Like, were they going into a recording studio and recording individually, or do they record from home, or do you have any sense of how that works?
I think they were recording from home. I think the show, most of these kids, like, they used Logic and Pro Tools, and they're already sort of somewhat adequate on it, but I think the show, for the people that maybe were, that wasn't their skill set, I think the show supplied them with stuff and walked them through it. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm about 95% sure they all did it themselves from home.
I would think it would be a huge advantage if you had any sort of engineering experience, or you had a nice sort of group of microphones, you could really get away with there. I mean, I'm assuming that they're sending them a bounce track, so they know how to.
They send like for me, I would do everything, like a lot of the stuff, anytime I'd use like delays or reverbs like that, I was using plugins, so I could, if I had to go back and fix something or edit something or whatever, or or if the arrangement changed and I had to maybe punch something out, I could do that without,
it wasn't printed to the track.
Exactly. And so I would always send our, when I was sending it to our Pro Tools guy or our, who would send it to the mixers, I would send them dry and wet so they could decide how they wanted to treat it. Unless it was something really specific, like an edge kind of a thing, or, that way they could kind of mix it however they wanted,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think with them, they probably, they probably, I was just making sure it was recording.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
They probably just send them, sing it down and send them a dry, wave file and let them mix it, I guess. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. It was really interesting though, like, cause like our MD would have a Zoom meeting with them, and then they'd say, okay, we want to do it in this key, and I want to give it this kind of a vibe or whatever, and then that was kind of our notes, and as soon as we get the drums and piano, off we went, and if we needed to change or rethink it or whatever, we could do it, but it was a lot, man. It was like, I think we ended up recording like 90 songs in like 4 weeks.
So was it more work than you would typically do if you were doing that show in person?
A little bit, because we had to do all the songs for the people. Like normally we would have, because we were a week ahead because they had to, edit things and do the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So we had to do all the songs for the people, whether they were staying or not. So there's extra songs we had to do that we wouldn't have done, because normally we would have started that process after they've gone home. It's like, okay, so now we have these 8 people left. We went from 16 to 8 people or whatever, and so now we'll start working on those songs, where in this instance we would do all 16 of those songs.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, I think it's a cool thing though that they were able to pivot and make that work.
It's the greatest, dude. I mean, because we had been off for like we did some stuff in January, and we'd been off. We were on like a 3-month break, and we were supposed to come back when we did, right. But it was like really uncertain, and we were just kind of like, speaking of retainer, we're not on retainer. When we work, we get paid when we work. So none of us were working for those few months. So it was like, shit, man. I hope this thing goes through, and thank God it did. But the next part of the show is going to be interesting, because I don't see how we can do the blind auditions remotely. I think we all have to be there, because I mean, you need over 100 people just to fill the teams. You know what I mean?
I wonder if they're gonna maybe have you guys play to like almost like a karaoke style, where you guys record like a set number of tracks, and then the singers have to use the something from that group of songs.
I mean, you could do that, but I think now things are slowly starting to open up and all that stuff. So I want to think on the positive side and say, hopefully we'll start the whole process. We would have started 2 weeks ago. Like we would have, or maybe a week ago, like we would have finished The Voice last season, and then we would have had a week off, and we would have started the blind audition, at least for the band, because usually we have like 2 weeks to learn all the songs, and then we bring the contestants in and we work with them, and then we go to stage, and then we film it.
What's your process though on learning that many songs? Like, what does that look like? Do you have to be able to read music to do that, or like what's it look like?
You don't have to be able to read. The first couple of seasons of this show, we didn't have any charts, or at least we would, if anything, we'd make our own. And I've never been the best reader. This show has made me a hell of a lot better of a reader, but the first couple seasons I memorized everything, and dude, it was like I've etched out childhood memories, man, from that shit, because there was so much material, and it was just too much. And then also trying to communicate without charts within the band. It's like, oh, you know, when we get to the B section or the pre-chorus, well, what do you call in the B set? What do you call in the pre-chorus? You know what I mean? Like the way we would interpret things, you know, might be slightly different. I mean, most things were obvious, but there might be some songs here and there where it's like, well, wait, what is that part really? Is the post, the hook, this post hook, this hat, whatever the hell it is. So at least with the charts now, it's like, all right, when you get to letter B, take out the first 2 bars, go to bar 57, make that an A minor 7, go to bar, you know what I mean? Like we can go, because the bars are numbered and there's, you know, the sections are letters. So it's so when we're working at the speed of light, which we do, it's super helpful. And it's a lot more efficient, you know, but no, like the process is when we're doing the blinds, well, let me back up for a second. So this bit we just did, since we were at home and I had, you know, time and I didn't have to like learn it as if I was going out on stage to perform it. I could record it and just sort of forget it. So for that, I didn't really use the charts. I just listened to the tracks and learned the parts, or I created whatever parts that needed to be created, and that was I looked at some charts, but for the most part it was just I just listened and did it that way, which I think is better. And you know, sometimes when you read something and you're learning it versus hearing it and learning it, you might interpret it a little differently, you know. Maybe feel wise or whatever, or you know, or you can tell where they played it on the neck, you know, even. But anyway, so when we go to do the blinds, it's you know, we're like 14 to 16 songs a day, and then at that point, I'm the only guitar player, so Dave doesn't come in until the live rounds. And so any parts that I can't cover, because we do everything to a click, mostly. But any parts that I can't cover live, like say an acoustic part or, you know, whatever it is, I have to record it and put it in the box. So typically I'll learn those 15 songs and I'll go through what I got to go through and I'll record all this stuff that night. And when I come into rehearsal, I'm kind of pretty much, I mean, I sort of know it, but I'm pretty much learning my part, what I'm going to play, because I've recorded I spent all my time recording all the other parts. But it helps me, you know, doing all that, it helps me learn the songs and stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of work. And then now though we've been doing it for so long, we get some repeat songs. So say it's like 16 songs a night, maybe 8 of them are new songs, and 8 of them are songs we've played. Maybe we haven't played them for years, but you know, it's kind of sometimes like learning it all over again because I can't remember shit anymore because of the first
You're running out of hard drive space. Yeah, you're running out of hard drive space in there.
You'd think it'd help your memory, but it certainly destroyed mine. But yeah, it's cool though, man. It's a lot of fun. Like it's made me a way better player, man. I'm learning some really cool stuff and playing stuff that some shit that I probably never would have even thought of playing, you know. But
was there a song that you got turned on to that either you didn't know about or you didn't like through this process that you're like, oh man, that song is really great? Or
yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any, but there's certainly been a ton where I've been like, oh my God, this song's a piece of shit. And then we make it great, you know, but the singer sings it great, you know, but that's the thing. Like, it may not be my favorite song, but I gotta go out there and play it like it's my favorite song, because my job is to make the artist shine, you know, so they can do their best and be their best. So, you know, so it doesn't matter. I just love playing. So, like, even if I don't like the song, I'm still having a good time. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then, there has been some cool. What was one? Yeah, there was a Prince song. Oh, it was Diamonds and Pearls we did. And I knew the song, but I never played it. And I never realized how jacked up some of the, some of the the feel and how weird it was to play. When you listen to it, it sounds very fluid and natural, but when you try to play it, it's like, "Oh, wait. What's happening there?" But I don't know. It just made me listen to that song in a different way, and I just now because of that, it's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. What's the most played song that you've done in your tenure at The Voice? Like the one that inevitably is going to be there every season.
Oh God, there's a few of them. I feel like "Bring It On Home to Me" comes back every freaking season, which is a great song, but still, it's like I feel like we do that every single season. There's a few songs. Damn it! I wish I could think of them, man. Maybe it'll come to me. But there's a few songs that will come through, that keep kind of coming through. And Paul, our MD, will be like, "All right, can we retire this song? Like, can we just no more?" It's like, I can't think of any of the songs off the top of my head, but there are a handful of songs that come through, and we're just like, "Oh, not this song again."
So let's rewind a little bit and talk about, you're from Virginia.
Yep.
You came out to LA to go to MI. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And so you did the few years at MI.
Actually, I was only at MI for like 6 months.
So 6 months at MI, and then did you have a gig right away, or like what? Yeah. So what was the gig that you got straight out of MI?
Straight out of MI, I got the gig with the band The Calling.
Oh yeah.
And so I auditioned.
What year was this, by the way? Early 2000s?
Early 2000. It was like 2000 and let's see. It was like 2004, I want to say.
Okay.
2003, 2004.
Okay.
And yeah, so I had to look. I've got this award from MI when I went there, and I had to look at the award because it says the year on it. But yeah, so yeah, I auditioned for it. I was hanging out with my friend Dory Lobel, and he's actually the guy who subs for me when I go to tour with Pink. He comes on the Voice and does stuff for me. And anyways, he's one of my best friends and great guitar player. And we were hanging out and we were just playing some guitars. And this guy Barry Squire, who's the dude who would hire, or he would bring in his musicians to audition for bands or record labels, be like, "Hey Barry, I need a drummer, a bass player, a guitar player, and a sorcerer." And he'd be like, "Yeah, here, no problem." And so so basically he called Dory, and Dory was like, "Hey man, I'm sitting here with my buddy Justin. He's an awesome guitar player. He should definitely come too." And so I went and I got the gig. Thank you, Dory. you know? And so anyways, so I got that gig and we toured for I guess about a year. And it was a world tour and it was amazing. It was a group of guys and our tour manager was probably the oldest guy in charge, and he was like 28. And we were all like, I think I was 21. And like, it was like 21, 21, 22, something like that. And yeah, it was, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember they had a couple of hits back then.
Wherever You'll Go. Whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have a solo in that one. They give you a face melter in the.
Oh God, not on that song. But yeah, there That was a funny thing, right? So that gig, it was Alex the singer and Aaron the guitar player, and they were the principals. Like they were you know, it was their band, right? And so the rest of the band, we were all, you know, hired musicians. Right. And so Aaron, you know, he was like the writer and the, you know, the kind of the brains behind the whole thing, and Alex was the, you know, the face and the voice, if you will, you know, and and it's great because actually Aaron's still one of my greatest friends. Love that guy. But anyways, Aaron didn't like traveling and he didn't like touring, and so we got, I don't know, maybe a week or so into the tour, and Aaron's like, man, I can't do this. I don't want to. I'm done touring. And he's like, you guys go out there, you guys go tour, but I'm staying home. I can't do this, you know. And so, and Aaron was like the lead guitar player, you know, because it's his thing, and so so then I switched into Aaron's spot, and the guy who was playing keyboards also played guitar, so he switched over into my spot, and then and he just sort of kind of still doubled on keys, but so then I started getting, you know, some moments to actually do some ripping, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It was a good band, actually. It was a really, really good band.
Yeah. And he also had didn't he sing on a Santana song at one point?
The guy from the... we played it a couple times. What the hell is that song called?
You gotta play. Was it Why Don't You and I or something like that?
Yeah, that's it. It
was the one. It was the one that Nickelback had written. The guy from Nickelback had written it. Yeah.
And I had to play all the, you know, the Santana licks.
Yeah. Yeah. He loves those.
Yeah.
But
it's great, man. I mean,
melodic,
like right away you know it's him.
Minor.
Yeah. But it was cool, man. That gig was crazy. It was a huge education for me because I got to tour the world. Like, I'd never been out of the country. I had to go get a passport. We went to, all over Europe and Japan and Brazil. And it was incredible. You know, I'd never been, and it was just like, holy shit, you know. And I grew so much because of, you know, the traveling. You know, it just opens your eyes and you see different things. You try different food. It's really cool.
So what was your rig when you were going to MI?
So when I was going to MI, I mean, I wouldn't really say I had a rig when I was going. It would be like those little practice amps, those little tiny shitty Fender practice amps they had at MI.
The Rumble, the Fender Rumble 25.
Whatever, yeah. Actually, they actually weren't bad. You know, you could pull a decent sound out of them, but yeah, it was funny, man. No, I kind of had a rig. I had a bunch of gear, but I was still kind of trying to figure it out. I mean, I think at the time I had like a dual rectifier, and I didn't use it. I used it for a while, but I would never. I mean, it was always a little too kind of metally for me, you know. And I ended up getting rid of that one. I mean, it's a good amp, but I ended up getting rid of it. And I had a Fender Twin, and it was just louder and heavier than like anything in the world. So like gigging with that thing was like, it was a nightmare, especially in LA. So I really didn't have, you know, I had pedal wise, I had, you know, I think I had like a Tech 21 distortion pedal and like a super overdrive distortion pedal. Yeah. And I had the green Line 6 delay. Oh, yeah.
The DL4.
Yeah, great pedal. Awesome pedal.
Yeah.
And, you know, I probably had... Most of the stuff I had was, like, Boss stuff. You know, I had, like, a DD5 as well. And a D... You know, and... I had some chorus pedal. It actually wasn't my favorite. Like, the Super Ensemble or something. It was a Super Chorus, I think. Which was okay, you know? Yeah. But I think then I was kind of still trying to figure out sounds. Like I mostly, up until then, you know, I played in a band before I went to MI, I had this my band, which was a band called Majacamo, and we were, it was a good band, like total pop sort of jam band, kind of like Dave Matthews. And we were a little edgier. I think we kind of didn't know what the hell we were, because like, you know, we might play a Latin song and then we'd be playing like some like friggin' rockin', like, you know, that kind of shit, you know, and but it was great because I got to really burn, and that's where I really learned how to play. We did a ton of gigs and a lot of touring in a van, you know, so it was really cool. And back then, my rig was that Mesa Boogie, and it was pretty much just that. And I think I had a Lexicon rack unit for delay, and that was it. It was not the really awesome one from the 80s. I think it was like
it's like an MPX1?
It might have been the MPX1, yeah. And which is cool. And so I had that, and it was in the effects loop, and that was all I had. Yeah. And a wah pedal, you know. Yeah. And then
the Mesa Boogie foot switches on those early rectifiers was like a pedal board. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was it. I had that's right. It's coming back to me. So I had that, and then I had a wah. What else did I have on that fucking thing? I had a couple things, and I had the MPX1. That was my delays and reverbs or whatever. And I had a talk box, a Heil talk box.
Oh, nice.
And that was pretty much my rig. I might have had a tube screamer here in and out of the rig, but I tend to always use like the amps distortion, you know, for the lead stuff, for the heavy stuff, you know. So that was kind of my rig all, you know, through then and through MI, I guess. But I wasn't gigging a whole lot when I was at MI. I was just there going to school and kind of learning, and, you know, I would play at school. And, you know, I was just kind of, if I had like an audition or something, I'd, you know, learn the songs, figure out what the sounds would be, and just kind of throw together something and get it as close as I possibly could.
What about once you got the calling gig?
So the calling thing is when I started kind of putting the board together. You know, I had that green delay pedal, and I had that was it the purple or blue line 6, like I think it was the blue one, the damn it, I can't remember what
the line 6 blue one.
Yeah,
the modulation.
Yeah,
was it the modulation one?
That's right. It was the modulation one.
The MM4.
The MM4. Yeah. Yeah, it's great pedals, actually. I miss those. So they're just big as shit, but
it's not much bigger than like a timeline.
Yeah,
though.
It's true. So I had those guys, and then I had a wah, and I had a volume pedal, and I had my SD1, or is that right? The Super Overdrive, Boss Super Overdrive. Yeah. And I think I had an OD3. And probably a TU2 tuner, and that might have been it for that gig. Because I mean that kind of covered everything for the most part. Because most of the stuff on that is either clean or dirty, and you know, and it might have been, you know, with the modulation thing, there might have been like a thing where I may have hit something that was like, you know what I mean, like a cool little
like a tremolo.
But you know, I'd step on it like twice in, you know, the whole night. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But no rack yet.
No rack. No. The rack thing didn't happen until probably 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, the rack thing. Yeah, it was 2011, I think, when I switched over to the rack, that was when I had started doing the voice. I was sort of like Pink had finished a tour, we started the voice. We did a season. It might have been season 2 or 3 that I went to the rack thing, because my rig, my pedal board was just getting out of control. Okay, so then I had the calling rig, right? And then I did some gigs with Robin Thicke, and the rig pretty much stayed the same. I think with that one, the only difference was I used my Twin. With the calling, that's when I got turned on to Bogner. So that was important though. So I had the Shiva, which is still my main amp, the same one from then. It's still the same one. It's the original ones, with the silver chassis. Mm-hmm. And so that was it. And I had a couple Yamaha guitars, and then I had a Gibson 336. Actually, I have that guitar. You want to see it?
Yeah, the smaller body version.
Yeah. Hang on. I'll grab it. It was the first guitar Gibson ever gave me.
Okay.
Hang on. I'll grab it real fast.
There it is.
Sorry, man. Get these headphones back on. So
all good.
So this was the first guitar, and it was actually I believe Gibson gave it to me as a loaner. We happened to be in New York with the calling, doing some TV stuff, and we went to, I think it was like the Hit Factory or something is where the Gibson place was. Mm-hmm. And anyways, they gave this to me as a loaner, and I just fell in love with it, and I ended up using it for the rest of the tour. And then I don't think they ever asked for it back, so I was like, all right, well, I guess it's mine now. Watch, they'll call me next week. They'll be like, hey, man, I've been looking for that guitar.
That loaner.
Like, sorry, man, it's been like 17 years, bro. It's a cool guitar. I think I might have a little... But so what I've got going on here is I've got my Friedman, and we can get in. I can show you my rig in a little while, and yeah. I'll get into the whole thing. But I'm on my Friedman, and I've got your clean boost on the Vertex clean boost, and I've got the steel string on, and some delay.
Nice.
It's really that clean boost is killer, by the way. I used it a shit ton on this last run with the voice as well as the steel string, but it's nice. It's like it just gives you a little bit more volume, and it doesn't really change your sound at all, but it just kind of gives you, I mean, I feel like it gives you maybe a smidge of some extra gain, mm-hmm. but it just kind of opens it up a little bit, makes it a little bit bigger, you know?
Yeah. So after the calling, you had your pedal boards that you put together. What was sort of the next gig that seeded for you after the calling? After the calling,
it was like, oh no, the band broke up, and it was like, oh, now what? Oh, like, it was really sad because we really had a good time. It was a good group of guys. It was a good band, and it was an amazing experience. So the band broke up, and that was it. And so we were, oh fuck, what do I do now? And so then, kind of back to the auditioning game, and this girl Bonnie McKee, who's she's like a songwriter. She's written some hit songs with Katy Perry, and I'm sure with tons of others. And Bonnie's awesome, great singer, great writer, and she was doing her solo artist career thing, and so I toured with her for like a month. We did like a club tour, and then that ended, and then I started playing with this girl Vanessa Brown, and it was more promo stuff. She's like an English R&B artist, awesome singer, sweetheart. And so then I think Robin Thicke saw our band, with Vanessa, and he basically hired the whole band. And then I was with Robin for quite a while.
What year would you say this was when you got connected with Robin?
Robin was probably 2005.
Okay, because you have a credit on his evolution of Robin Thicke.
Yeah. So
did you play on a lot of that?
The funny thing is with that that record, I feel like the Calling thing was like 2003, man, and then 2004, because then I did the Bonnie stuff and then the Vanessa stuff, and then I was with Robin for about a year, because I started playing with Pink in 2006. I'm just trying to. I'm a little foggy because it was a long time ago, but nonetheless, yeah. So when I started with Robin, that record was done, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he had a title for it. I don't know if, but the record was done, and we started rehearsing with him, and and we were rehearsing at his house, and Robin's like a real creative songwriter guy, and he kind of like. He'd come sing with us, and he might be puttering around the house, and then like he'd hear something, and he'd be like, "Do that again," and I'd be like, or whatever, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, "Go to that chord." Oh yeah, that's awesome, And not saying that any of what I just played was that, but he would get inspired, and so then we ended up writing like at least. Half that record, we ended up, either redoing some of the songs that were already there, or we wrote a bunch of songs with them, and recorded them, and it was really cool, man. Like I wasn't like we were expecting to learn the record, play the record, tour the record. We ended up learning the record, recreating the record, and writing some of the record, and then touring some of it as well.
Yeah. You had some big hits on that one. That Lost Without You was big. Was that one of the ones that you guys redid, or was
that? No, that one was done. That one was done. I think he did that with Sean Hurley, the bass player.
Sean played the acoustic guitar on it?
Probably. Sean's a really talented dude. I mean, yeah, he did that. Whatever it was, I can't remember.
Yeah.
This has been
now on the tour. Then you had to break out the nylon string or what?
Yeah, well, that went live. I did it all on my Taylor, and and I can't remember the licks, whatever they were.
All the Santana stuff prepares you for it.
Yeah. I would kind of jump in and out and play that, play the licks here and there, and
because it was just you on guitar.
I was the only guitar player,
yeah.
And we didn't play the tracks or anything. It was just live and go. But then so then that was a really cool experience. We ended up that song Angels. I can't remember. Dude, I haven't listened to it or thought about it in almost 20 years. But I think it was Angels on that song. We went in to record that at Ocean Studios, and on Sunset in Hollywood.
Yep.
And we cut it live, and we ended up doing about 60 or 70 takes. And then kept the first one. Didn't change a fucking thing. Kept the first take, and we did like 60 or 70. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're like, oh my God, man. And like the vibe was just like, you play a song that many times, it's just, there's no vibe left. And and they ended up taking the very first take, which was really funny. But Robin was crazy like that. He's a crazy perfectionist, and he will beat it into the ground until he gets it right, or if he has to circle back and go, oh, that's right, But Robin's great, man. He's a really talented guy, and it was fun. It was a fun experience. It was an unexpected experience as well,
Yeah. And then from him, you then got the Pink gig, and was that just because Robin wasn't touring anymore, or he decided to go a different direction? Or?
Well, actually, I was still playing with Robin, and the opportunity presented itself, and I really wanted to go play with Pink. You know, I felt bad for ditching Robin, and I told, you know, we're still friends. You know, I still see Robin from time to time, and he's a great dude. We're still cool, but and he understood. He took it really well. But I just for one, I really loved her as an artist at the time, right? And now I love her, like, she's one of my best friends. She's awesome. But at the time, I was a fan of her, of her artistry. And so then, I got the call to audition. I auditioned and I got the gig, and I had to fly to DC to do a gig with Robin, and I was like learning Pink songs in soundcheck, and he was getting annoyed. But yeah, so so my rig, once I got the Pink gig, that's when my rig really changed.
And that what year was that?
That was 2006.
That's 2006.
Yeah, and that was actually like, because I had my pedal board, and it was pretty much what I was talking about earlier. I might have had like a vibe pedal or something I've added. There might have been a couple things I've added along the way. And I also didn't know how to hook anything up. Everything was just plugged in the wrong order. Fucking, it was just, that sounds weird. That's fine. It was like,
yeah.
But I learned eventually, sort of. And so, but my rig really changed then because the tech that was there, Tony, he's like, all right, now we got to get the pedal board together. And he had a pretty good idea of what he was doing, and he took what I had, and he made like a junction box. He just sort of neatened everything up, and we put things in the right order. And I think that's when I got the what was it, the Boss double pedal delay pedal, not the DD500,
DD20,
but the
DD20.
The DD20, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I got the DD20, and I had my Bogner foot switch, which had the dirty, the boost, and the reverb, and I would use the verb on the Bogner, and ran my delays in the loop, and that was. I had wah, and I had one volume pedal at the time. Now I've got two. I've got one in the loop and one in front. Mm-hmm. I'm actually, let me just pull this up. There's got to be, I'll tell you exactly what I had on it. There's got to be pictures of it online.
And this was in 2006, you said, when you got with Pink?
Uh-huh.
So that was right when I'm Not Dead came out.
That was it. That was the record. Yep.
It's funny, Andy Timmons has a guitar credit on that.
Does he?
He does.
Which was it Long Way to Happy that he played on, or does it say?
It doesn't say. I'm looking here. So he's got a credit. Don Warner has a credit. Uh-huh. And Butch Walker has a credit for guitar.
Yeah, because Butch did a few songs with her on that.
And another guy named Jeff Phillips.
Uh-huh.
I don't know him. And Hoffa's got a credit on there too.
Right, because Hoffa was playing with her probably when she was doing that record.
Yeah.
And then he went on to do that Rockstar stuff, which I guess did me a favor. It opened the door, the window for me to get in there and start playing with her. Wait, hang on one sec. All right, here it is. I got it.
Let's see it.
This is my old pedal board. So I've got a wah, a volume pedal, Ernie Ball volume pedal, And then I've
Can you screen share it?
yeah. Wait.
Just go down to screen share, hit the button there, and then it'll ask you what window you want to share. So all your open windows will appear.
It says host disabled attendee screen sharing. Can you hear me, Mason?
Do you see screen share option?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Now I can, but when you...
Sorry, so it's every time I hit share screen...
It mutes you.
It says host disabled attendees.
Oh, here. Let me. Let's see. Let's see if it lets you do it now.
Host disabled.
Not working?
No, that's weird.
All right. Maybe just text me the link, and I'll put it up.
Do you want me to do it right now, or?
Yeah, sure. I'll put it up right now. That way you can walk us through it.
Let's see. Is there a way to just? Yeah, I'm just gonna take a picture of it.
All right.
Because it's just easier. I thought there was a way to just share it. All right. Boom. You got it.
All right.
So yeah, man. So I do you want me to go through it?
Yeah, take us through it, and as soon as the text comes through, I'll throw it up on the screen.
Okay. So I got the wah first, and then I've got the volume pedal, and then it looks like I'm going out of that into, let's see, I'm coming out of that into a Boss octave pedal, into that. Looks like I ended up changing that pedal, but that chorus pedal, there it is.
All right, here we are.
That chorus pedal looks like it's the super chorus or whatever, but I ended up changing that to the CE2 because I ended up.
This is the one that your tech built, or is this the one that Friedman had made?
This is the one my tech Tony put together.
Okay, so yeah, I see it. Is that a Showbud volume pedal?
No, it just has a piece of gaff tape, glow in the dark gaff tape on it.
I
see.
see.
It's an Ernie ball, but it was the big ones, the big giant fuckers. Now I've got the little juniors.
Yeah.
But funny enough, the pedal board itself that all those pedal boards are on is I've got two identical rigs, and I still use that same board, but that same size. But
okay.
So anyway, so I got the octave pedal, and I got the chorus pedal, and then a flange pedal, which I remember that's like specifically for that song Trouble. Okay. And that was the only time I used that. And then the delay that's going through the loop, which I imagine is hitting this junction box somehow that Tony made. And I think my Deja Vibe is actually in the loop as well.
Okay.
And which is kind of crazy, but it's kind of a cool, a little over the top, but cool sound. And then there's the foot switch.
Yeah, I see that.
And then the next box is a custom box that I think Friedman made. It's for my piezo. So like I use the acoustic pick. I've got not on this guitar, but on some of my Les Pauls, I've got the Fishman Power Bridge, and it's got little pickups. And I just had it wired so it just goes to a stereo jack. I use a stereo cable, TRS cable, and that little box right there, it just basically switches sides and slams it over to this preamp, that Fishman preamp, which goes direct to front of house, and then that's it for the piezo.
Nice.
And then that hush pedal, that the noise,
the Rocktron.
Yeah, the little Rocktron hush thing. That was put on there And I didn't always have that on or in line. That was put on there as a Band-Aid because I was getting a seriously like crazy hum in some venue or some venues. It just would depend. And for whatever reason, that thing just would eliminate it, you know?
Yeah.
The little noise gate.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's the early days.
The early days, you know.
Look at that.
And so now, actually, there's pictures in this other thing of my rack.
Let me see if I can find one.
If you just type in Justin Derrico pedal board in Google, and then you go to images, it's got you'll see it.
All right, here I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull this up here, and you can instruct me as to which one is the appropriate one.
I'm sure they've
right.
okay. Well, there's several. So this one over here with the two racks on the
okay.
That's my B rig.
Okay, so this is still in existence.
That's still in existence. That's my B rig.
Okay.
Although it's a little different. So if you go to actually, you see the one with the tall rack.
This guy here.
Yes.
Okay.
That's more current. All
right, I'm gonna get this one blown up.
Wait, does that? Oh no,
right.
That's got the. Okay.
This has got it looks like a Goldfinger and then a Shiva in there.
So right now, I've got a Shiva and a Friedman in there. That's what I've got.
Okay.
So this and some of the pedals have changed. If you want, I could turn the screen around and show you what I've got.
Sure, whatever you're willing to do.
Let's see. Let me move this thing. Mic might be in the way. Here, give me 1 second.
Sure. I mean, you got that Marshall fridge.
All right. Get my headphones back on. Sorry, YouTubers. You guys can write nasty things in the comments about this. All right, so.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I don't want to move this mic because I don't want to mess with the sound too much, but move the computer.
No, I think this is acceptable.
So that's it, and you see that Marshall on top is what you turned me on to that Marshall.
Oh yeah, the 50-watt JMP.
And so basically, where did that go?
And what's that other rack that's above sort of where the deluxe reverb is? Are those two brown boxes in a rack unit?
Yeah, it's called Amp RX, and it's basically
it's like a power conditioner of some kind.
Yes, and it's for tube amps. It's really awesome. It's
Does it just allow you
It allows me to control the voltage because since there's a lot of MIDI going on in my rig, especially when touring, you might get to some venues and it's like the voltage is like 130 or 125. You know, this rig does not like being over 120. And I've got the little meter on, the meter on those, but also the Furman,
Right.
And so when it gets like to 121, my rig will just shut down or it'll stop switching.
Huh.
No idea why. No idea. And it could be my switcher. I've got the Ampete switcher. It could just be, I don't know if it's my GCXs, the Voodoo. I don't, you could probably figure that out. But so I kept having that problem. And no matter where I go. So eventually, I got this thing and I can control it. And it really, the rig sounds really good around like 113.
Nice.
And so I can adjust it. I can make the voltage hotter or less, but I've always got control of it over it. And then that enables me to not have my rig take a shit on me.
Right. And then when you go to other countries, do you attenuate it down from 220 or do you use a step down transformer that's then coming into that, and then you're making the adjustments at the same voltages.
Yeah, that's what they have the step downs, and then I've still got this thing, and I've also got another like Furman power conditioner thing that it's like, I don't know, it was really expensive, and it's in a giant ass rack, and all this stuff gets plugged into that. So if that takes a shit, then this stuff's safe. So I don't know what the hell it is. My tech was like, we need this. I was like, okay. So, I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to this stuff. I do love it, but I'm totally into my gear and stuff, but I'm some of it doesn't make any sense to me. But so you see, I've got the switcher, and right now I've got the since I'm at home, I've got the Deluxe going, and I've got the Marshall going. Sometimes I'll pop in that Telos, which is really awesome. That Bogner, it's such a cool head. And then there's the original Shiva that's the one I use, and then that's a 79 Marshall, and then the Brown Eye.
Then you got your J45.
Yep, that guitar is awesome.
I have the exact same guitar.
I love that guitar, man. It records so nicely, man. It's so awesome.
Nice. Yeah. So what are some of, if we were to go sort of kind of pedal genre by pedal genre, would you be willing to give us some of your top picks and some of your favorites in those categories?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's start with at kind of the beginning of the chain. Favorite wah pedals.
Say that again. You kind of broke up.
Favorite wah pedals. Favorite
wah pedals. Well, right now I use the Clyde McCoy, the Dunlop Clyde McCoy, and that I sort of did a shootout with a bunch of the Dunlop pedals, and that was my favorite one out of that. I still love the Vox stuff. The Vox wah pedals are awesome, and I really like the Buddha wahs.
The purple one.
Yeah, the purple one. Man, those were cool. It had such a cool squawk to it.
I got one right here, the Boudoir.
Yeah. I had one years ago, and then it broke, and then I just never replaced it. And I think, out of just sheer necessity and being on the road, if something takes a shit, I can always easily get that Dunlop pedal. Now it's different. Now you got Amazon and this and that. You can get pretty much anything. But before, when you actually had to go to Guitar Center or the music shop, they would more than likely have something. Like if there's a Guitar Center, they definitely have that, But that, I think the Buddha is probably my favorite sounding one, to be honest. The Clyde is freaking awesome, which is basically a Vox, which I love. But I think the Buddha is my guy.
You just got to go to Reverb and get yourself a.
Now you're kind of like making me go, fuck, I need to go get myself a Buddha wah again.
They're great, man. Paul Jackson Jr. I know still uses those. He's still really into them. They got a following. Yeah. What about for compressor pedals? What are your favorites?
Well, I love yours, by the way, and not just to not because you're here and not to kiss your ass, but it's a really great pedal. And I have been using the Wampler as well, the Ego. I've used that for years, and it's really good. It's a little noisy at sometimes, I've noticed. But it's a cool pedal. But I would say I'm actually leaning towards yours these days.
Okay.
And also, also because it's also got that preamp feature where you could just goose it and you get that sort of Jimmy Page thing, that Black Dog kind of thing, and it's kind of a different thing,
Yeah.
So it's like two pedals in one, and the compression on it's awesome,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you dig it. As I tell people that compliment us, the check is in the mail. So, what about overdrives? What are your favorite overdrives these days? I mean, I know you get a lot of your gain from the amp, but when you do use an overdrive, what do you like these days?
The OD3 is sort of my go-to, like on the lower side of things.
Okay.
And then the steel string To me, like the steel string is more of like, I mean, it's an overdrive pedal, right? But it's more. I don't use it that way. It's like less gain. It's more of almost kind of a little bit of a boost, kind of just a little bit of a color thing.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm using the OD3 more as like you know, like a proper drive pedal, but it's just cool. It's bright. It's you know, it sits in the mix so nice, and it just any guitar I plug into it just sounds good. You know.
Nice. Yeah. And they're not expensive to get, the OD3s.
It's like, yeah, they're like $100 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I might have even gotten that one for like $40 or some shit.
Yeah. What about like higher gain distortion pedals? Do you use those very much, or at that point do you just feel like the amp is kind of doing that job?
I feel like the amp, to me, is doing that. I haven't had a ton of luck with some of the higher gain stuff. The Bogner Ecstasy pedal, the red pedal, and the blue pedal, they're really awesome. And actually, all his overdrive pedals I really like. But I still, to me, they don't beat the amp.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I really struggle with that because, you know, sometimes I find, like, say the amp doesn't have a ton of gain, I'll if I can drive the amp and I can find something even like a tube screamer or you know, actually the Schaefer replica I love. That's one I use to kind of sometimes, instead of like a tube screamer, I'll use that, you know, just with a little bit of gain, a little bit more level, just to kind of give it that extra push over the edge, and it's awesome, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
What about for boosts?
Say again? You there, Mason?
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. This is my internet.
Yeah, I think I'm here.
All right.
I'm here.
All right, I got you.
What about for boosts?
For boost?
Yeah.
Your pedal by far. without a doubt, dude. I've actually got them hooked up right now. I've got one of them hooked up right now on my board.
Oh yeah, I see two of them. Yeah,
I've got
nice.
two of them, only ones hooked up right now because I need to get that. I want to. Actually, I should probably have you either come over or come to you. Bring this stuff. It'd be easier if you came. If you know, next time you're in town, if you came over.
I'll put on my hazmat suit.
Whenever the whole thing blows over and you can. But figure out how to wire these in, because I wanted to do the thing you were talking about with hooking them up to the volume pedal.
Yeah.
With the little split thing, you know, and the split cable that you were talking about. So I wanted to do that with both of them, because I got one pedal in the loop and one in the front. So I was gonna do it for. Would it be weird to do it in the loop as well?
No, it'd be cool because you could have one that's if one's in the front, then you could use one to add more gain to stuff. You know, because it would saturate more, and then the other one's just going to be like boost. If you walk back to your amp and you turned up the volume control.
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
But you can do that remotely on the pedal as well, which is cool. And when you turn off the boost, it's just going to make your volume pedal act like it normally would act. Right. You know, it's just going to act like a regular volume pedal, except it's an expression at that point. So the impedance of the volume pedal, like, it no longer matters. Like, you could throw any Ernie Ball volume pedal you wanted in there. It wouldn't have to be the 25K one necessarily. Because it's just an expression pedal at that point that's doing volume. And when the boost is on, it's expressing silent in the heel position to whatever the amount of boosted level you've put. So it's like a volume pedal that you can increase the volume up to whatever the threshold is you've set on the boost when it's on. And then you kick it off and the volume pedal just works like it normally would work. Yeah,
so that's what I want to do. Because I thought about, I'll just toss them in the rack. But then I was like, man, which I could do. I could just have to run a long-ass cable. But I don't need to do all that.
It would take 10 minutes to put the insert cables for that. It'd be really fast.
Yeah. And so, that's what I want to do. But right now I've got it hooked up so it's just in the front. And dude, I used it literally on almost everything. I used that with my Bogner for a lot of the jam track stuff that I just did a masterclass with JTCguitar.com or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I used that boost pedal, and I also did a collaboration solo with them, and I used the boost pedal with my Marshall. So I think it was my Marshall, the boost, and the Schaefer for that, and some delay in the box, you know.
Nice.
Lately, I've been using Sound Toys. Have you messed with them?
Oh, yeah, they're great.
I love it. So...
The memory, what's the Memory Man one called? The Memory Boy or something?
Oh, the Echo Boy
Echo
Jr.?
Boy. Echo Boy. Yeah, Echo Boy.
Yeah. I have to figure out how to make my delays sound as good as that somehow. Now that I've been home recording, those are the only delays I've been using, and so now I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta get them to sound that good. And I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of like, you know, what happens with the wet, dry, wet. You know, when you bring in stuff in Pro Tools, you're mixing in the wet acoustically with the dry tone, you know, or whatever. And so there's kind of a different property to it when you're doing it that way. Maybe you need to get yourself some old PCM 42s. And
I know, man. I do, actually. I've actually got a SDE 3000 in my rig.
Oh, yeah, those are cool.
Which is awesome. The only thing that I don't like about it is I can't tap the tempo unless you can do a mod or something for me.
No, I mean, that stuff you don't want to start going down that route. It's tricky, you know.
Yeah, I tried and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, because it was weird. It was like if I tapped it twice, it would mess with the memory on it, and it would switch the patch, and then it would work, but it wouldn't really work. It was kind of a, you know.
Yeah.
So that one's it's a great delay if you could, you know, for recording especially. It's like, or if you just got, you know, sort of set it for one thing, you know, or if you know what the settings are, you could program it, but it's, you know, that's way more work than I want to do.
Well, I'm using right now, and some of the stuff, you know, because we can't shoot at the showroom anymore, and so I have one of those Boss Wazacraft tube amp expanders. Have you seen those things?
No.
It's basically like a reactive load box. You can add your own IRs to it if you want, or load your own IRs to it. But it's an analog reactive load, and then it has an IR, you know, thing that you can do after the fact.
Oh wow!
But one of the cool things about it is it also has some delays and reverbs already built into the box.
Oh, nice!
And it has an SD, or it has the SDE 3000 in it, or a model of it.
Oh wow!
And you can add that in post to whatever's going into it. And you can even get, if you're hooking up to an actual speaker cabinet, it will put it, you know, between I'm assuming after the output transformer before it hits the speaker.
So you don't have to put it in a loop.
You don't. And it has an effects loop built in too. So if you have an amp that doesn't have an effects loop, you can put it into the loop of this and it will, you know,
so that'd be good for my Marshall then.
Could be cool, yeah. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good. I've been loading like the Ohm Hammer IRs into it and using those instead of the ones that are built in, and I'm using my outboard rack gear, the Lexicon stuff. But even if I just use what's in there, it sounds actually pretty good. The SDE one was pretty good.
Shit, man, I got to get one.
It's MIDI controllable.
Because I was trying to figure out, like, so for home, the Marshall's amazing at home because I can, you know, do all the stuff in the box with the delays and stuff. But when I'm, you know, on the voice or whatever, I can't really, unless I'm running it clean. There's, you know, all the delays are going to have to be in front of the amp, and because there's no effects loop. So I was trying to figure out how do I incorporate that into the rig and get the delays out of it, but use the amp at the high gain that I like to use it at, you know?
Right.
So maybe that's the answer then.
It's one option. I mean, you could also do, you know, take a line out box out of it, and then that could feed your wet stuff in your rack, you know, and then you would just have to go into return it into a power amp or something like that. Yeah,
but then I think it gets a little out of hand, because then it's like,
because the system you have is mono, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be the easiest way to do that.
Yeah.
It would be an easy way.
Because I took your advice, and I did the wet, dry, wet thing, and it was amazing. And I used my my Digitech hardwire delay pedal.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great pedal.
Yeah, and I can mod that for you to go 100% wet too if you want to get the full where only wet's coming out of the cabinet. There's no dry signal at all. Yeah.
So I hooked that up, and I had two single 12 cabinets, and I was going wet, and dry, not wet, dry, wet, but just wet and dry, and dude, it was like, this is amazing. But then problem for me, it's like when I'm doing it live, then I'm relying.
Do you want to take
then I'm relying on
three
the front of
speaker
house
cabinets
guy and to mix in my effects,
Yeah. Well, there's a cool way that you can do it with some of the rack stuff when it's using XLs, because you can just have it feed your in-ears, or you can use these cabinet simulators for the wet side that would just go XLR directly into the board, and then they could give you an in-ear mix that would reflect sort of the amount of wetness that you'd want against the dry. And it's pretty cool. Like there's one company that I think does a really cool version of it where you don't need to go into a power amp that's called the Cab Zeus.
Okay.
And they have a stereo one, so you could still do whatever processing you wanted in front of the amplifier. You take the line out from the Marshall, you go into the delay and in reverb stuff or whatever you have in the loop, and then that would go into this stuff unbalanced, and then it has a balanced output, two balanced outputs from that can go directly into your board or into your DAW or whatever. So you don't need to haul around more cabinets, you don't need to haul around more power amps. It's literally going the wet signal directly into your mixer or directly, and then there into your in-ears or whatever it is. So
then does that get complicated so then I have to almost do that for all amps? Because when I'm using multiple amps, does that get complicated when it's kind of sort of switching the system a little bit?
If you were going to do it, with all of them, it would be trickier. But if you were just saying to use your 50-watt Marshall that doesn't have an effects loop, it would be a way to sort of get the wet stuff in there and not have to modify it.
Okay.
So, or you could use the Waza, and then it's got its own effects loop already.
That is the most appealing because it just sounds like I could plug that thing in and it'll work.
Yeah, you can, and I think there's a control in the back where you can go like -10 or +4, so it can do most of the semi-pro or pro audio levels if you needed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of that pedal again? We text it to me when we finish up.
Yeah, it's Will. I'll show you it in my rack when we're done. You can kind of see it. But it's called the Tube Amp Expander.
Okay. Tube amp expander. I'm gonna get one.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. So we talked about boost. What about your favorite modulation stuff? What are some of your favorites these days?
Well, the Wazacraft CE2 is awesome. I have an original CE2. I have several original CE2s, which I love. Which are I actually have both. I've got the original CE2 in my rig, which is in the effects loop, and then I have the Wazacraft, which is in the front of the amp. And then there's also the other one. It's in my other rig right now. It's escaping the Dimension C Wazacraft.
Yep.
Favorite chorus pedal. Done. Like it sounds so good. Like it sounds exactly what I want a chorus pedal to sound like. And it's got there's no knobs. It's got 3 or 4 switches?
The push buttons. Yeah.
And I think I used the I used whatever's on the end. It's just, and I think there's a dip switch. It's been a while. It's been a few months because it's in my other rig. I don't have to, I need to get another one, but, dude, it's one of those pedals. Every time I plug into it, with some reverbs and delays and that going on, dude, it's like I just get inspired, and it's some really neat stuff comes out, and it's so that's really cool. And one thing that's been super useful is the H9. That's been a great pedal as well, because it's just got tons of shit in it, and most of the stuff sounds really good. Most of the stuff's really usable, and so that's been a go-to for a long time, actually.
Yeah. What about anything for vibe, like, or phaser? Or do you use the H9 for that?
No, actually I don't. That's the one thing, the choruses and the flanging and stuff, I don't. The thing I use the H9 the most for will be some of the like shimmer verbs and sort of the spacey weird shit that's in there that you could just go, oh, what's this? And you hit a note, it goes, or or the harmonizer thing, but for flange stuff, I don't have. Oh wait, I do. I've got the Boss flanger in here, which is okay. I haven't really gone down the road of flange in depth. I remember when I was younger in the 90s, they had the Boss flanger pedal, whichever was the newest one then. It only had like 2 or 3 knobs on it. I remember that one being awesome. But for phasers, I got the EVH Phase 90, which is it's awesome, but I don't use a ton of phasing and flanging stuff. It's only if it's like I don't typically gravitate towards that. Like I'll use it for if the song has it on there, if it's like an Isley Brothers track,
Right. Yeah. You need to have some gain and do some Who's That Lady or something
exactly.
like that. Yeah. What about for Univibe? Do you use any Univibe anymore? I saw the old Deja Vibe on one of your old rigs.
I still have that Deja Vibe in my rig. Yeah.
Same one.
Because I use that. That again, that's another pedal I'm not always hitting, but it is because it's so specific. But that's something that I use on the Pink Show for that song, Just Like a Pill. I use that in my chorus pedal, and it's but that's been my favorite one. They used to have the Jimi Hendrix Dunlop Univibes.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I had one when I was younger, man. That was cool. I thought they sounded great. I have never A-B'd one because it's been so many years since I've even seen one of those. But the Deja Vibe's pretty great,
Yeah. What about for delay? What do you like?
So I love the DD500. Because it does have like the SDs in it and stuff, and it's got it's got a wide range of stuff that it does.
It sounds great.
It sounds great.
They're great.
I also really like the Strymon Dig. I think is a really cool delay. And that the Digitech Hardwire is awesome.
Yeah, the
really cool
DL8. Yeah. What about for reverb?
Reverb, I like the Hall of Fame. I think it's really cool, and I like the Strymon Flint, which actually has the tremolo. Which is really cool.
Nice. Any sleeper pieces of gear that you feel like people are not hip to that you really like using?
That's like new, or
could be new, could be old, could be stuff that you couldn't, like the Boudoir was an example, I think, of one sleeper that you talked about in our chat today. Any other ones that you feel like are like under the radar, people don't really know about them, they don't get the respect they deserve?
I'm thinking. I would say, like, maybe do people know a lot about the Digitech Hardwire? Because they don't make them anymore, right?
They don't. No, I've been trying to spread the word, but people don't know about them.
And are they still making them, or are they stopped?
No, they stopped maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, because they got bought by Samsung. Harman got bought by Samsung. And so I think that they just are selling off what they have left. I don't think that they don't produce the pedals anymore.
That's a shame.
So mostly when you get the DL8, I mean, the way I got hip to it was because I saw Steve Lukather had them on his rig, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to try these things out. I remember at the time they were They weren't even that much money.
No, I got several of them.
They were like 120,
I played one, and I was like, I think Dave Friedman turned me onto them, and I played one, and I was like, oh shit, this is awesome. So I got a couple of them, but then they stopped making them, so that kind of sucks. But I've actually got a tiny little. I gotta show you this because it's so cool. Hang on.
Okay.
All right, this will actually bring me to a piece of sleeper gear that I think is really fucking radical. So, anyways, so I had to do a fly date with Pink, and it was like a little TV number, and so I built this little board. And it's really cool because I can have everything running in front, or if I want to get like fancy, I can, take this whole side and put it in my loop, and this could be the front, and I could kind of, it's super simple. This is an awesome pedal. All these are great pedals, right? This is the what we're talking about, right? The hardwire. Yep. Missing a knob. Or the cover, whatever. But this power supply is fucking awesome because you charge it and let's see if it turns on. I haven't used it in forever, and I haven't charged it in forever, so it looks like it's completely dead. But there were times where I hadn't touched this thing for a long time, and it cranked right up and had full battery power. But this thing lasts for a long-ass time, and you don't have to plug it in. You just get a USB.
How about noise? Does it have any noise issues?
No, I haven't, nothing that I've noticed. Okay. But you should check it out, because you might go, it kind of does this or does that, because you're usually quicker to pick up on those things than I am.
The concern that most people have on it is that, there's a convenience aspect, but a lot of people have experienced some noise issues. And then some of them, I don't know if they've changed them, but I remember early on, like, they would melt.
Really?
They get too hot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. But
this is not what the general, this is what you think is best. I'm not here to police it.
So I would say, for me, in the application of what this was for, say I'm going to do a gig in town with my buddies, or I can't bring that rack. Or like I'm flying to London and I got to go do like a TV spot or something like that where it's only going to be on for maybe an hour, right. It's really going to only be used for like 4 minutes. But to me, like, it was just something I found, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. I don't even need to plug shit in. I don't even need power. I'm in, bro,
Yeah. I dig it.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing. The other thing, sorry, I know I keep just doing this to you, but...
No, let's do it.
It keeps popping up. But the Chandler tube driver.
Oh, yeah.
I love this pedal. And I'm sure people know about it because it's like the Eric Johnson and the,
Yeah.
But this pedal is so freaking cool, especially in front of that Marshall. It's amazing.
Have you messed with the MXR FET driver version of it, where it's like just 9-volt power, just like a regular MXR size?
No, but I do have I think Love Pedals made it, and it's the Dover
the Dover
drive, which is that one's really good too.
Yeah. But not as good as the OG.
Yeah, maybe it's psychological because this is, you know what I mean? But I don't know, like we should do a
Pepsi challenge test.
Honest, but
we should blindfold you and see if you can tell.
Huh?
We should blindfold you next time.
Yeah, that's actually really good. That's a good call. We'll do that. We should do a blindfold shootout with some shit.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Because I'd love to call myself out on some bullshit. You know what I mean? Because like some shit really is psychological.
We'll put an Epiphone in your hands and see if you can tell the difference between that and your Les Paul.
Would you say that again?
Say we'll get an Epiphone and put it in your hands instead of your Les Paul. So you can tell.
Totally, dude. I mean, it's funny because there are sometimes you'll pick up an Epiphone and go, like those Masterbuilt acoustics, those Epiphone Masterbuilts.
Oh yeah,
they're killer.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, man, this thing's better than my actual Gibson, you know. But yeah, no, it would be an interesting shootout, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Justin, this has been really cool. I really appreciate you sort of like taking us through the years of kind of how your career has progressed, the behind the scenes of kind of how the voice has run and how it's running now, your gear, the gear picks, the sleepers. This is all really fun information. And I really, you told me a lot of stuff I actually didn't know, about
Wait a minute,
you
I
and
told
your
you
career.
stuff you didn't know? No, it wasn't about gear.
Your career. Yeah. Well, I think you had some good pieces of advice too. I mean, I think I haven't been thinking about the Buddha wall lately, and I think that's a really good pick. And I also think, that one of your big overdrive pedals is the OD3. In and of itself, that's a sleeper pedal. I have one over on the shelf here. And I think that, you don't have to have a $800 boutique overdrive to get good tones out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I know you're wrapping up, but I think for me, like, I tend to go for the things that are very transparent, sort of. Like your pedals are that way. They don't really change anything, and they're reactive. Like if you press harder, you hit it harder. Like I like things to respond to my hands, to the dynamics and things, and that's the great shit to me. Yeah.
Well, certainly nobody can question the tones that you get because they're incredible.
Oh, thanks,
and
man.
if people want to learn more about you, or they want to go and experience your lesson packages that you have, where can people go and find that?
Yeah, you could go to jtcguitar.com, and I've got the latest masterclass I did. It's like it's called Rock Triad Wikipedia, and it's basically I took just all the triads out of different harmonies, like melodic minor, harmonic minor, and diminished, and mixolydian, like sort of modal stuff, and it's just really cool, colorful stuff to play over, over static chords and things like that. So, but I also have a bunch of other lesson packages at JTC as well. A bunch of rock lick packages and all sorts of other random stuff that I've done over the years.
I mean, and they're great. I can't say that I've purchased one of them because I'm not an expert guitar player, but I see them when you post the clips on Instagram, and I always watch those through, and I'm just like, man, the tones are incredible, and it's clear that there's been a lot of time and production value that's put into them to make it, synthesize it as best as possible for a person that is looking to improve their skills on the guitar. I certainly think that it would be a great move to check out what Justin's putting out.
Yeah. Thanks, man. No, it's great. The JTC stuff is great because you get, the solo, and you get all the licks, and you get them fast and slow, and then you get all the PDF files of all the stuff, and also explanations of the theory behind it. So it's real informative stuff. So But yeah, man, thank you so much, Mason. This was so much fun, man. I love just
this is
picking your brain and talking shit about this stuff because you know so much about it, and it's fun to get your perspective on things.
Yeah. I always enjoy our conversation, and I look forward to us getting together soon and heading over to Salsa and Beer there.
Yeah, I fucking missed that place. That place was so badass.
Getting some Mexican food.
It's funny you took me there, and then afterwards I was like, "Oh man, you guys gotta go here." And they're like, "Oh, Sauce and Beer, yeah, I know that place." I'm like, "Wait, you guys gotta go here." "Oh yeah, we know." I was like, "What the fuck, man?" So, I was late to the party.
I only knew about it because my wife's uncle lives right behind it, and off of Sherman, and so they had taken me there, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or something like that. So
it's so good, though. It is so good.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. It is great. Well, Justin, I really appreciate it again, you making the time to talk to me today, giving us the inside scoop, and I really look forward to seeing you in person once some of these curfews and all this stuff are lifted, and we're able to engage with real people.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much, Mason.
All right. See you later. Buddy. Wow, that was a lot of fun. I love talking with Justin, getting to hear about his story, how He moved to Virginia, went to MI for 6 months, and then immediately got picked up by The Calling and was going on tour with them, which seeded his work with Robin Thicke, that seeded his work with Pink, and then also doing The Voice at the same time. I also think it was really cool how he talked about how they have to pivot, just like how Tim Stewart was talking about the other day, how they had to pivot to make sure that they could still complete the season and then did all the music remotely. I thought that was a pretty cool story, and I think a lot of his gear recommendations were also stellar and right on, so I can't wait to see how some of you might implement some of this gear into your own rig that Justin uses and recommends. So thank you to Justin again for his time and his suggestions. Again, this podcast wouldn't be possible without certain people being involved. Number one, our sponsor, Blue Microphones. They provided everything from our Yeti mics to our boom arms to our pop filters. And behind the scenes, Hunter Harrison, mixing and engineering this whole entire thing, Mason Mejia for co-producing, and of course, Tim Marco for doing all the music that you hear on the Rig Doctor podcast. Until next time, I'm Mason Marangella, the Rig Doctor. See you later.